All right, we're diving into a story that starts off so normal. Just a late night ride with some friends. But this trip, it takes a really sharp turn, and it twists something familiar into an absolute nightmare.
So I want you to picture this. The narrator's on his bike with his two friends, Suresh and Ajay. They're cutting through this totally desolate forest. A big, full moon is hanging up there, just giving them enough light to see this empty, cracked road stretching out in front of them. I mean, you've got all the classic elements here, right? Isolation, deep darkness, and just that one lonely hum of a motorcycle engine.
It's the age-old question, isn't it? You have this perfectly innocent moment, just a routine stop. But in stories like this one, that one simple pause, yeah, that's all it takes for an entire world to just completely unravel.
And oh boy, does it unravel. Act 1 kicks off when what should have been just a quick little pit stop spirals into pure panic.
So they pull over for a quick break. The narrator and Suresh, they do their thing, they turn back to the bike, and Ajay is just gone. They start calling out his name, thinking, he's just messing with them, pulling a prank. The narrator even counts to 5, kind of joking, threatening to leave him behind. But the reply they get, it isn't a laugh, it's a scream.
And that one cry just shatters the silence of the forest. It is unmistakably Ajay's voice, just raw with terror. This is not a prank. And then another scream follows, this desperate, pleading cry of, "Let me go, let me go." In that split second, they know. Their friend is in very, very real trouble.
So they just plunge into the woods, guided only by the sound of his voice. And what they find just turns their blood cold. First, they see it. Drops of blood staining the leaves on the forest floor. Then they see these clear drag marks cutting right through the dirt. And then they see her, a figure in a black sari, dragging Ajay by his leg deeper into the woods, moving with this unnatural speed before she just vanishes completely into the darkness.
So now they're armed with nothing but pure terror and this desperate need to save their friend. They follow the only clue they have, those drag marks, leading them right towards an unknown and absolutely terrifying fate.
Right there, in the middle of this dark forest, is this old 2-story wooden mansion. It's completely dilapidated, overgrown with vines. It's the kind of place that just screams, "Get away from here." But from somewhere inside, they hear one last, desperate scream from Ajay, and then just a chilling final silence.
And this is where the two friends really start to clash. The narrator, he's trying to rationalize it all. Maybe it was a man in a sari, some psycho killer they could actually fight. But Suresh, he's paralyzed by this deep supernatural fear. He's seen the movies. He thinks he knows a witch when he sees one. He wants to run, but the narrator is just adamant. They cannot abandon their friend. Pushing right past their fear, they step inside this decaying house. And as they get closer to the main staircase leading to the second floor, they see it. A trail of fresh blood just dripping down from above. And even though Suresh is begging him not to, the narrator just races up those stairs, totally driven by this need to find Ajay.
What they find is a scene of just absolute horror. Hanging upside down in the corridor is Ajay's body. His feet are tied to the ceiling with a black rope, his hands just dangling lifelessly. His body is completely naked, and his head is gone.
But finding Ajay's body like that, well, that's just the beginning. The real architect of this whole nightmare is about to show herself.
Just as they're reeling from this horrific sight, they hear a sound coming from a room nearby. It's someone weeping, and it's in Ajay's voice. They creep toward this dark room and see that same figure in the black sari, her back turned to them, sobbing with the voice of their dead friend.
The narrator demands to know who she is, and then she turns around. And where her head should be, there's just nothing. In her hands, she's holding Ajay's severed head, and it's his head that speaks to them. "Friends, I'm here."
In this one, grotesque motion, the headless thing attaches Ajay's head to her own neck. It just settles into place, the face smiles at them, and then the entity gives them this chilling ultimatum in her own female voice. "Bring me my head, or I will take yours."
They just bolt. The narrator runs blindly into the forest, but after a second he realizes he's alone. He turns back just in time to see Suresh walking slowly, almost like a zombie, back towards the house, as if he's been hypnotized.
The narrator tries to pull him away, but Suresh, who's not in control of his own body anymore, shoves him violently aside. When the narrator gets back up and dares to go back into the house, he finds Suresh just standing there, in the room, calmly taking a knife and severing his own head.
So now, he's trapped. Both of his friends are dead. The narrator realizes he has no choice. If he's going to survive this, he has to understand the monster that's cornered him. He has to find her head.
So the spirit, she tells him her tragic story. She was on vacation in this very house with her husband. One day, while he was out fishing, 3 drunk guys came to the door asking for water. They forced their way in and attacked her. Her husband came back and fought like hell to defend her, but he was stabbed and killed. Then, in just this final act of drunken depravity, one of the men took a knife, cut off her head, and took it with him like some kind of sick trophy.
The spirit explains that while her body was buried, her soul can never ever rest without her head. He has to find it, and then he has to burn her bones and her skull together to finally give her peace. I mean, his own life now depends entirely on solving a murder that happened years ago.
But the narrator is completely stumped. Her story has no clues about where her attackers could have taken her head. So he asks her to remember the very last thing she heard them say. And her answer seems so random. They were talking about frying fish and eating it. And suddenly, something just clicks in the narrator's mind. He remembers the ghost saying her husband came back from fishing. That probably means he only brought back 1 fish, not nearly enough for 3 hungry men. They would have needed more. So where would they go? To the pond, right behind the house. And it's pretty unlikely they'd carry a severed head with them while they fished, right? He comes to this horrifying conclusion. They must have thrown it into the pond. He rushes to the pond, and for almost 2 agonizing hours, he's just wading through this murky water, feeling along the muddy bottom with his hands. Finally, his fingers close around something hard and round. It's a human skull stripped clean by the fish over time. He then finds her shallow grave under a nearby tree, digs up her bones, and performs the final ritual, setting all of her remains on fire. As the flames eat away at the bones and the skull, he sees her spirit rise from the fire and ascend into the night sky, finally free. He doesn't wait another second. He runs from that house, runs from that forest, and he doesn't stop until he has left that entire nightmare far, far behind him, vowing he will never, ever go back. So yeah, he physically escaped the forest. But the real question is, can anyone ever truly walk away from something like that? After witnessing the brutal deaths of both of his friends and coming face to face with a spirit like that, you really have to wonder, is a part of him now just trapped in that dark, forgotten place forever?